Hey gamers and gaming adjacents, I was gonna make a longer video of a detailed breakdown of Scarlet and Violet, and a deep dive in how crunch culture in the video game industry has once again been hurting the Pokemon games. And I think I'll still make that video, but while I was beating the game, I was dumbstruck, downright enraged with the traditional part of the finale. You know how Pokemon games end, right? You walk through the final environmental challenge that is Victory Road, you're introduced to and fight the Elite Four, then you battle the champion for their title and a spot in history as your team is immortalized for their efforts. They're often the hardest part of the main games and one of the most memorable moments. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet had a dedicated quest to complete the gym challenge to reach this moment. I was mildly interested to see the endgame for Paldea's gym challenge, but what has become an infuriating pattern with this channel, if I think positively about Pokemon, I will swiftly be let down. No, I don't want to do an intro. I want to go over how fucking terrible this was. Like, this entire game is a mixed crock of shit, but other than the performance, I wasn't surprisingly insulted at any point, like Sword and Shield, up until the ending. Don't get me wrong, this game is the usual 1 step forward, 5 steps back that we can expect from Game Freak, but I was having 10 times more fun than the previous entries. Yay. Let's catch this ding-dang dog. Once you get all the gym badges, you're told to head to the Pokemon League to take the test for the champion rank or whatever. In contrast to Sword and Shield, where there was a sports-like tournament, we return to a familiar norm here. Except the path to the league isn't some gatekeeping challenge preparing you for the battles to come, it's a short jaunt up a hill! The Victory Road experience was not here in the slightest. The wild Pokemon were surprisingly weak, and the only trainer I did battle on the way up here was entirely underleveled. I didn't bother fighting this other guy, thinking he'd also be a waste of my time, but he's important, I'll bring him up later. So entertainment-wise, that was a bust, but I also didn't know the level range to expect for the finale either. This open world game has no level scaling, and I did things woefully out of order and never really faced a challenge. So I went in assuming I would be barely or moderately engaged. But like, wasn't that the main purpose of Victory Road, right? Making sure you were ready a test before the test for trainers both in and out of universe? After that daring trial, the champion meets up with you, basically warning you for the challenge to come. You'd think that was some poor foreshadowing, but it turns out she's fucking with you. This is going to be really easy. The first trial you must overcome, with the might of all your training, is you must complete an interview. Rika, who we've met before, sits you down in the sterile room with the only interactable chair in the entire game and an unplugged computer monitor. You begin to have the worst interview of your life. I say you because IRL, I've had much worse. It's a lot of no wrong answer type questions, except for the part where they make you recall the least memorable part of the adventure. You're asked to name and shame a gym leader, and I honestly forgot most of them. They only show up within their own gym battle, except for Bros, shout out. So the real first hurdle is remembering one of them and what type of Pokemon they used. Like really, that interview didn't make me introspective or reveal anything new, it was completely pointless. Now it's time for the battle portion. Also, I hope you enjoyed that sitting animation because you'll never see it again. My first thought when entering this room was, oh, this is nice, I like the glass all over. I wonder what the other rooms will be themed like. Because silly me, my years of Pokemoning had prepared me for Elite Four members to have their own themed arenas. Gen 4 still has my favorite, but this fully 3D Pokemon game got me picturing something really cool. Rika follows you in and you start the first battle. At this point in the game, I was ready for the endgame music. Most of the music was great up to this point, but I was getting a little sick of it, and you know the Elite Four and the Champion themes are always a bop. I know, I keep getting my hopes up, but I seriously didn't think in a million years the ball would be dropped as hard as it was about to. So I'm rewriting this part on December 1st, and apparently the music was glitched. Somehow, nobody noticed this, and a lot of people, including myself, only heard this. And here's what it was supposed to be. I don't know which is more embarrassing, a bad song or an oversight like this. That being said, now that I've listened to the track online, because another series staple of re-challenging the Elite Four was removed, their track is super generic. On the re-upload video, there are so many comments praising the song, and I simply don't know why. Like, if any other RPG had the song, no one would say anything about it. This doesn't even touch on how easy these fights were. Instead of like a strategy, they terrestrialize their aces into their type specialty in lieu of counterplay and can easily be swept by a faster and stronger Pokemon. Keep in mind, I was only a little overleveled because I had a mix of 12 Pokemon I used in my lineup, which would have been much worse if I stuck to 6. But historically, that wasn't always a guaranteed win against the 4. Try being overleveled against Lucian or Drake. It might not matter to them. So that battle is over, and now I'm expecting the worst. To my dismay, Rika calls in the mouth-breathing child. No next room, no like PA or camera system. We're just hollering them over when it's their time, I guess. I have to imagine them just standing expressionless in front of the door, waiting for their turn like a mindless drone. Here we have Poppy. This actual thumb-sucking baby is an elite battler. Is it ever explained how this happened? Hold up, let me check Bulbapedia real quick. Nope, all info we have on them at this point in the game is up to date, which is to say literally zero characterization. No background or explanation at all. Fuck it, I guess. Alright, mute the sound, bust out the flamethrower, and be done with her. At this point in the game, our character doesn't know who the third/final Elite Four member is, as you've only met 3 of them. Well, surprise surprise, you have met them. It's the normal type gym leader Larry. His third job, yes, third, is at the Elite Four using flying types now instead of normal. Larry's gym challenge was the only one I actually had fun doing, but that says nothing to his character. He was the most boring gym leader in the entire game, and arguably the series. I see there are actually some Larry fans around some YouTube comment sections, and all I have to say about that is Pokemon fans will simp for any character. It doesn't make sense in the Pokemon world why Larry is the only miserable, overworked person surrounded by happy-go-lucky trainers. This fight doesn't flesh him out either. He doesn't have some sort of sicko mode or face turn, he just looks like he doesn't want to be here. And like, same dude. Larry isn't the first gym leader to have a promotion like this, but he's the first one to be both a gym leader and an Elite Four member at the same time. And I literally don't know why. Again, no reasoning is given. I feel as if I wouldn't be giving Larry the credit he deserves if I didn't mention this. I swept every single Pokemon these chuckleheads sent out except Larry's Flamigo, because it had Scrappy and O-Code my Golhengo, to my disbelief. So good on you, Chief. Actually, while I was recording this, I caught a shiny one. So take that, Larry, I'm just cooler than you. The last member we know to be is our art teacher, Mr. Hassel, who, if you did his, quests, you'd know is a dragon trainer. Easily the most developed member of the Elite Four, but not much stronger in battle. Looking at these losers standing next to each other, they're the blandest, most monochrome Elite Four I've ever seen. Like, part of me is glad that the ground type user isn't only wearing brown and the dragon type trainer doesn't look like a LARPer, but geez, these designs are boring. Except you, Rika, you're killing it, girl. Moving on past the quartet of the aging millennials and going in with zero expectations for the champion fight, I was still disappointed. Somehow, La Primaria, aka Geeta, was less impressive than her underlings. So yeah, her theme was bugged too. Only the first 5 seconds looped while I fought her. Having listened to her actual theme back some more, although it is better than the Elite Four theme, Geeta's time to shine was also quite dim. Her theme has a bunch of other historical Pokemon motifs in it, and a bit of her Spanish flair comes up, but that does nothing for me or her character. Other than her bizarre appearance and blue gloves, we know little about her and what she does. She's the equivalent of you asking your old high school friend what they do now and they respond with sales and don't elaborate. I was looking forward to the 6v6 battle at least. Wait. That wasn't a classic setup. She does have a team of 6. But she opens up with an Esperanza, and my exact thought, both aloud and in my head, was, wait, doesn't this thing suck? And then she sent out a Go-Go, and an Avalok, and a Vilazua. A pattern between these mons dawned on me. They're all under 500 base stat points. And look, I'm not the type of guy who uses only strong Pokemon all the time. I never look down on people who use their favorites. But like, come the fuck on. Under 500 base stats, no hell items. I never mentioned the fact that nobody ever used a healing item in battle, and this is the best trainer around. I was so pumped when she sent out a real guy, King Gambit. I was using one too. I encouraged the 1v1, and with their ability pumping their stats at the end of a fight, I thought it was getting real heated. But wait, I hear you, maybe saying, that's only 5 Pokemon. What was her 6? I said the same thing, thinking King Gambit would be the perfect signature Pokemon for a champion. To my surprise, our magnificent Geeta sent out a Glamora, which is a strong enough Pokemon, but it felt weird to be her final one, especially because I was expecting someone to use an Armarouge or a Ceruledge. Nobody had used one yet, they were heavily advertised, and they weren't common in the main game. Strong and cool, I was shocked they didn't make an entire character whose whole thing was looking like one of them. Hey, you know who did have one? That fucker I skipped getting here! Yeah, this guy, this dude. I skipped this guy because the guy 100 feet from him had like level 10 Pokemon. He had higher level Pokemon and an Armarouge. His team was stronger and more diverse than these guys in the pretty building. Hire this dude, fire the newborn. What were you thinking, Geeta? I was begging her to say JK and give me a real fight. And I was kind of right, because there was one other person with the champion rank that still remained. Our dear friend and best character, Nimona. I wanted to fight her then and there, but we opted for a street fight. And when I stood there in the center of Mezagoza, about to throw down with her, I had never related to a Pokemon character more in my entire life. Nimona was the only student with the champion rank, and she was always holding back against you in your previous fights. She was continuously encouraging you to get stronger. Now having faced against the other strongest trainers in the region, her actions all made perfect sense. Nimona is so interested in you because we're the same. Both someone who trained as hard as we could because that's what we were taught. She climbed the mountain and she was dissatisfied with the journey. Fighting illiterate children and jaded adults never truly challenged her. When she met someone that she thought might one day rival her, it became her mission to cultivate our growth. Not to patronize us, not to baby us through events, but to make sure we're growing up fast enough to catch up to her. I had a wonderfully fun and close battle with Nimona, feeling actually fulfilled with my Pokemon's growth. After the dust settled, while my mind was thinking about all the things I could have done better in that battle, I forgot Earthworm's ability and I switched in Wugtrio at a bad time, Nimona was also thinking about her next battle. While all the other NPCs groaned at her insistence to keep battling, I was never more down for a rematch in my life. If you've ever lost against Cynthia, or Steven, or Leon, did you ever want to concede and go home? Or did you want to go again? Nimona is the same. Her failures are our losses, and her wins are our victories. There might never be another rival like her, on purpose or on accident, but I'm glad she was with us during the jankiest parts of our journey. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I have a lot more to say about Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield, oh my god, that was so long ago it feels. I have more to say about Scarlet and Violet, hopefully coming soon. You can check out one of my other videos in the meantime, or check me out on